Hello, neighbor. Neighbor means Novels and Bits listener. I am your host, Chizoba Katie. Welcome to Novels and Bits podcast. So, on this podcast, we're sharing full stories. Today's story, we're talking about Reckless by Elsie Silva. This is a really popular book on Bookstagram, Book Talk, and all of the like. And it's actually one of those series books, those kind of books that there's a group of friends and everybody has their own love story book. This is like the fourth book in the series. But the reason I started with it is the writer herself recommended this one. Like, hey, she put out Reckless. And when I am done telling you the story, you're going to see why. So right now, let's dive into Reckless. So the story starts with Winter, the female lead character, leaving her husband, Robert. So it's not like she was leaving him per se, because that's not what he's thinking. Because at this time, he's arguing with her like, why are you going to Chestnut Springs Hospital? Why are you going to that no-name place? Because both of them are doctors. Her husband, Rob, is a cardiothoracic surgeon. She's in her residency, emergency room doctor. Although her mom wants her to continue her own path, because her mom is also a doctor too, a plastic surgeon. Her mom wants her to do plastic surgeon stuff, but she feels more comfortable in the ER amongst the chaos and stuff. So right now, instead of focusing on the big city hospital she's working at, she's going up to this small town hospital. And her husband is like, what's the wisdom in that? And she's really not talking to him because they've been shaky for months. Because she found out that he was sleeping with her younger sister, Summer. Summer is someone who used to be his patient, or rather he used to sleep with the sister because he stopped sleeping with her a long time ago and he started punishing the girl, and we'll see all of that gist as we go on. So Summer right now is happily engaged. She lives at Chestnut Springs, and Winter has always been kind of cold to her based on their upbringing. So right now, Winter actually desires to have a relationship with her sister, which was what influenced her to decide to work at that Chestnut Springs hospital, hoping that they're going to run into each other and things like that. But it's not really happening, okay? So right now, since she found out months ago that Rob actually did that thing to Summer when Summer was younger, she said they are going to be staying in separate rooms. You understand? She's not going to stay with him again. She cannot bear to have sex with him again. And instead of this guy to just maybe beg or something, he just gladly helped her move into guest bedroom. Even now that she's carrying back to go, he's not even saying, oh, let me help you carry the bag. The man is just vain. And in the midst of all of this, he's just telling her, oh, I liked your hair color when it was more silvery. Oh, just picking on her looks or how he feels she should be or not be. The whole house is marble, cold, lifeless. And that's what for a long time she thought was okay, but it's just suffocating her right now. Okay, so she leaves. And she's driving to Chestnut Springs, and it's about almost 6 p.m. And she really misses her sister. So she calls her up and says, hey, you mind if I take you out to coffee? And her sister was like, instead of coffee, how about we do wine? There is this dinner holding at the ranch. You can come over. You understand? So Winter just thinks it over and is like, okay, sure. You get. But it's snowing and she's really cold. And then her fuel tank is running low. So she has to stop at this fuel station. So while she's filling up her fuel tank, she sees this ruggedly good looking guy come out, yeah? And I mean, he's all having chains on his neck, wearing a plaid shirt, swung over cardigan on the neck, and unlaced boots, holding this lottery ticket. And it looks like he doesn't care whether he wins the lottery or not. He looks like, oh, I'm just having fun with my life, and if you want to come on the ride, sure. You get that whole bad boy vibes going. And he definitely looks younger than her. So Winter could immediately tell, I'm older than this guy. Okay? So that was a thing for her at first, actually. And the guy, when he notices this girl is staring at him, he looks her back like, yeah, huh? Whoa. So she felt shivers, you get. And because the way Winter was even actually ogling him, she's never ogled a man like that since she got together with her husband, Robert, 5 years ago. But considering she's not had a sexual relationship in a while, and she's just letting herself, for the first time, actually look this guy over, because at this point, she had already even picked up divorce papers she planned to serve Rob, you get. But as the guy returned her look, she just felt shivers. This unknown person now, she's been at the filling station. So she's like, okay, let's not get into anything dangerous. I have a plan for my life, all that stuff. So she gets into the car, she starts driving away. So the guy gets into the truck, the guy she doesn't know, and he starts driving to where he's going to. But oh, voila, what do you know? The girl is in front of him, the girl from the filling station, that's Winter. And she's driving so slowly. And then at a point, she's now even driving up and down. And he's like, what the hell? Is she drunk? Is everything okay with her? Then he sees the flash of her screen, You get, and it's like, is she texting and driving? But then he checks his own phone and says that network is out. So it was like, okay, she can't be texting. So what is she doing exactly? You understand? But that's when he starts running options in his head, because it's like, okay, I have a mom and a sister. So maybe she's lost. Maybe she's also scared. And let's say my sister, my mom were in her situation and I was a random guy. How would I want a random guy to treat them? So he ends up just kind of being patient until, what do you know, they arrive at the same ranch. So that means, okay, whoever this woman is, I must know her in a roundabout way, okay? Because he now, we're going to introduce him in a moment. This is Theo, okay? The rugged, good-looking guy. He's Theo. And he's a boat rider. So his dad, Gabriel Silva, was one of the most famous World Bull Riding Federation riders. So when you talk about World Bull Riding Federation, that's WBRF. I'm not going to pretend I'm looking down the book, because I am. You think all of this is going from my head? Okay, you're giving me too much credit. I mean, I'm gonna get there eventually one day, but right now I have to take notes so that my own thoughts don't run away with me. I mean, I go off script a lot. So I'm just like, I keep this so that at least I have a coherent story going. This ranch that both of them are at, like I said earlier, this is the ranch that Summer lives on. That's Winter's younger sister, and she lives there with her fiance Rhett Eaton, who happens to be Theo's mentor. Like, this Theo is a main lead guy, right? And so when they get to this place right now, Winter just flies out of the car and she now goes shouts at him like, what's wrong with you? Why are you flashing your headlights at me? Da, da, da. And because she's like this tiny person full of fire, so Theo was amused, like, what's with all this Spitfire girl? And hey, mind you, Theo is all those dark, tall, handsome things going, okay? Dark hair, you know, dark eyes, you know. Ugh. Yeah, well, whenever I get tired of tall, dark, handsome, that style just never goes out of style. He just looks at her and he's like, oh my gosh, such a pixie cutie thing. She's blonde, she's blue eyes, she might as well be Tinkerbell. So he settles for calling her Tink. And then she's like, what'd you just call me? And it's like a whole argument thing until Red just comes out and separates them, like, yeah, children, you know, that sort of thing. Red makes introductions and says, okay, this is Winter, my fiance's sister, and this is Theo, my protege. So they're like, oh, okay. And Theo had already heard about Winter, like, oh, she's icy, she's cold, she's unapproachable. And also, this is one of the reasons to why Winter was fleeing from the city hospital she worked at, because first of all, people there see her as a Napo baby. Oh, you got here because of your mom, and then your husband, you know, her mom and her husband work in the same hospital as her. And everybody just gives her these pitying glances like she must be lonely. Ugh. So that's part of the reason why she left that city hospital to come over to this place, because it's her bid to start afresh. So Winter wound up meeting most everybody. You get there like 4 different couples there, about 3 of them, 3 different couples there with Brett's dad, Harvey. And everybody's so welcoming. They're like so nice to her. And that's not the world she existed. She exists in a world of bitterness where her mom is always telling her to like, oh my God, you have to like be this, be that. You get, like, everything is tied to your accomplishments, tied to a certain way of behavior. But these people are warm and accepting of her, even though they know that, oh, she wasn't exactly the best big sister to Summer or anything. And she's wondering, why are they so nice? Like, so Theo brings wine over for her because he actually came carrying 2 glasses, a red wine and a white wine, okay? And then he was like, oh, that she should take any of them. So she ended up taking the white wine because she was feeling self-conscious, like, oh, red wine is probably going to stain her teeth. Another thing else is she wants Theo to leave her alone, like, leave me alone. And oh my God, this guy's unoffendable, because normally the icy behavior she's giving him is what she would give to other guys, and they're fleeing, running for the hills. But not him, of course. He's not going to run, okay? And when she even tried to take the drink from him, there's no this kind of thing that her fingers just touch slightly and there is all this static electricity charging. Yeah, that's what happened. So she just grabbed her bottle, like her glass of wine, and she just fled from Theo's scent of citrus and ginger. There are many couples there in attendance. Jasper and Sluan, Cade and Willa, who is pregnant, Reth and Summer, you know, the people who have the ranch. So because of this arrangement, Winter felt herself feel jealous. Not of them, not of what they have, but more like these people have people that are sticking by them, loving them like this. Me, I'm all alone, and I'm feeling this particularly today. So Theo has his reputation of being the WBRF, World Bull Riding Federation bad guy. Like, he's always known as a fantastic lay, the ladies' woman and all of those things. I mean, for 4 months now, Theo has been celibate, trying to turn a new leaf because it's actually bothering him that, oh my gosh, it's true that my dad died while riding bulls, but at least he died with plenty championships under his belt. And even my mentor, Rhett is retired as he's no longer a bull rider. But then Rhett had two championships. He has none. And he's like 26. So he's like, I want to get my act together. I want to actually do something with my life other than be known as a fantastic lay. Normally, this is like Christmas season, and normally he would spend it with his mom. But his mom and his sister decided to take this singles cruise. They're on a boat and stuff. So he's like, no, I don't want to go on a boat. And then singles cruise? No. You guys are not dragging me there. But he's really close to his mom. Yeah, his mom are people that can call each other. And the mom is gisting him about the latest soap opera she's watching, all of the drama taking place. You get, they have that kind of relationship. And you're going to see more of it in the course of the story. Okay, so what happens next is that Wheeler calls out Theo as far so what's the latest escapade, or tell us. Theo sidestepped the question and was like, Wheeler, have I told you you're looking beautiful these days? Wheeler is a pregnant one. That's Kate's partner. And Kate was like, hey, careful, like, don't go there, you get, because we know you're capable of all of these things. But everybody laughs, even Theo. Winter noticed that bite in his laughter, like, okay, everybody's laughing at my expense, but this is not funny because I no longer want to have this reputation. Eventually, Theo apologized to Winter about the ride, that actually he didn't mean anything. She was driving slowly, but he would try to be a gentleman. And then Winter was like, oh, okay, I forgive you. Theo was like, oh, so does that mean you like me? And Winter is like, I don't have to like you. He said, but people like me. I want you to like me too. So Winter gave him this look like, what the hell is wrong with your ego, man? He's like, I can't forgive you, but it doesn't mean I have to like you, and that's that. So the thing is, Winter made herself so uncomfortable at the dinner. Remember, she's already overthinking and already looking at everybody one kind. And even standing at the corner by herself. So at the point, she got herself so uncomfortable to the point that she was like, I'm going. I need to go already. I need to return to my hotel. You get. Then her sister was like, oh, it's still snowing. Are you going to be okay? So Winter looked at the snow. Was like, yeah, I'll be okay. Theo was like, you're lying. That you are not okay when we are coming here. It's not now that you're going to be okay. It's not like they magically taught you in med school how to drive under snow. So Winter now retorted, you uncle, did they teach you how to ride in snow in bull riding school? You understand? Just to make sure that she'd be okay, Theo was like, oh, I'm leaving to her, because they happen to be staying at the same hotel. So he wanted to just like, okay, that's the deal here. I'm not going after you to do anything. I just want to see that you're safe. Once we get to the hotel, I go my way, go your way. We don't have to see each other again. That sort of thing. So this is how he ended up driving slowly ahead of her. She followed. So they got to the hotel. And true to his words, he came out of his car, wanted to go his way. She that was like, okay, come on, let me buy you a drink. Why be at the bar? Normally, bar times are story times, right? So why be at the bar right now? Winter is now like regaling him with the story of her life. Like, oh, can you believe my parents? They didn't like each other. That my dad got the nanny pregnant, and the nanny is the mother of Summer. So that's why the mom was like so mad about it. And instead of these people to divorce peacefully, Mariana said in the marriage, I was like, rather than me leave this marriage, I'll stay in this thing and make both of us miserable and everybody around us. You understand? So Summer, the father had to side with Summer, and at the expense of Winter, so he didn't get to be a dad to Winter. You understand? Actually, Summer is a lawyer, and she used to work with their dad at his sports agency because he manages top sports stars, including Theo. But then Summer, that wasn't what she wanted to do, so she left the job to become a gym trainer, like sports gym trainer, and she's good. She's really good at it. Okay, it's actually Marina that is Winter's mom's name. I've been saying Mariana. It's Marina. So Marina is a plastic surgeon. She wanted Winter to go in her path. Winter didn't want it. She found her own calling and purpose in the ER, emergency room. And Marina now turned her cross trick on her. And Marina was so mad when she heard that Winter left Rob. She was like, do you want someone to win? Like, for her, it doesn't. You don't care that your daughter is miserable or not happy in a marriage, or that her husband is an ass. It is, do not leave the marriage, because if you leave, you're letting the other girl win. The other girl that was born from a nanny. You found it funny, like as you was hearing the story. You get, everybody knows what Rob did to Summer actually. Like all their friend group, including Theo. It's not like it's a secret thing, but just like I said, they haven't called him out on it. Probably for the sake of protecting Summer from the public humiliation or whatever. But let's continue with the story. Theo found the whole thing like a soap opera in terms of, oh, I cannot believe that that happened. Like, he was just laughing. Like, my mom calls me and tells me about her soap operas, and this sounds like some of the storylines. Like, I can't believe this is happening. He now started teaching Winter and said, Winter, from what I hear of your story, you sound like you give too many figs. Like, you care too much about what people's opinion are. Okay, pretend you only have 10 figs left. Okay? Like, when I say 10 figs, you know what I mean? 10 fogs, yeah? So now fold your hand for every fig you have to give. You know, the one you give your mom, fold it down. The one you give your dad, the one you give Summer, the one you give the. So by the time they do it, they only like had one left. And she was like, I want to figure, you know, I want to. And, you know, initially she dismissed it like a joke. But he was like, oh, no. You're onto something here. Let's talk. The whole thing now led to them signing a coaster contract. Like, you know, this like paper kind of thing. Like, okay, I and Theo, after this night, we're just not going to see each other again, sort of thing. Like, let's surrender to a night of passion kind of thing. So they signed it. So imagine these two people. The moment they signed this thing, there was now this, like, you know, the sexual tension has always been there. But those kind of things are now thicken in the air. Like, they now get into this elevator. Once they get in, they turn at each other's clothes. And then, you know, the rest of the night is what it is. So the next morning, Theo had to go to gym to train with Summer and Rex. And Summer was sitting on what Theo likes to call her torture chair, where she'd be calling out 20 burpees, do this, She's been training for 2 hours, both her husband to be her fiance, right? So just training. And Theo, because he was up through most of last night and he took a lot of tequila, he was basically sweating tequila. I felt like he would die. But obviously he has to show up because this is already something he committed to, right? He wants this championship thing, right? And Summer kept looking at him like, what were you up to last night, Theo? And he was like, you know, I was having a fun time with my right arm, sort of thing. Like, in his head, he was just saying, I'm not someone who kisses and tell. Yeah, so that's my business. That's my business, what I was up to, woman. But the way Summer kept looking at him as though she knew something. We don't know if she knows, but... Okay, so meanwhile, you know, in the next few weeks, the next 2 weeks after this now, Summer moved into Chestnut Springs proper. She already served her up divorce papers. And then she moved into one of the houses owned by Jasper. Like, Jasper is more like a hockey championship person. He's married to Sloan, or Sloan's partner, whichever case that is. And he's so uber rich, he like owns the entire block, like the entire houses on the block and shops and everything. All of them are undergoing gradual restoring and renovation. So she moved into one that was just recently renovated. And Jasper's partner, Sloan, became one of her close friends. So she was helping her move in and stuff like that. Next thing, Winter started feeling really nauseous. And she now started calculating her ovulation in her head. And because the thing is, for 2 years before this, Winter had tried to get pregnant, really tried. And in all of the trying, she only got pregnant once. And it ended badly. She lost the baby. So now that she's thinking about it, she's like, could I be? But then she went to check and she was pregnant. So that led her to ask Sloan's help to sneak into Summer's gym, to go through her computer because she was trying to find, what's his name, Theo's number. So she found the number and she texted him, see what's happening. She texted, she left voicemails, He did not answer. So when he eventually replied her text message, was like, hey, we need to talk. Let me call you. He was like, no, he should tell her whatever it is on text. Then she was like, hey, we're going to have a baby. And he was like, oh, thanks for letting me know. She was like, what? Now, she didn't expect that from him because the person she spent time with is a cool person. Now, that response is so cold. And I think it made her feel so embarrassed. Like, did I just open myself up to this guy for him to just discard me like I'm nothing? So she ended up not telling anybody who the father of her child is. She was like, just a random one-night stand person. I don't remember his name. I was too drunk. You understand? But this is a baby she actually wants because she tried 2 years to have this baby. So she's not like going to give up this baby for anybody, okay? She's keeping it. So 18 months later is a Chestnut Springs rodeo. You know, those rodeo things that come as like a festival. And then maybe you have some guest people that will come and ride bulls. So at this time, all her friends, like Sloan and all the women, they dragged Winter out and said, see, you have to leave that baby. Leave the baby with Harvey. Or you come with us. You are going for this thing. That you have to, it's not your only life, is not your daughter. Have a life. Because at this point, Winter is on a 1 year leave. 1 year maternity leave. I guess she can afford to do that. So, and right now she's just like, oh, I forgot. It's like her daughter. She loves her daughter. Her daughter is 9 months old at this time because it's been 18 months since she last laid eyes on Theo. So they come to this event. And what do you know? Theo happens to be like a guest person, like one of the guest stars that they invited, because it was Rhett organizing it. So it was easy for him to invite Theo. But in Theo's head, he doesn't see himself as a star yet, because at this point he hasn't won a championship, but he's well on his way because he's been killing it in his season. Yeah? So now Theo doesn't see what's her name, Winter, but Winter sees him and she's filled with bitterness and resentment. Like, this guy abandoned me so and so time. So as she's looking at him, because he's meant to ride an easy bull in quotes, she's just thinking, fall. You understand, that kind of vendetta. But on second thought, she's like, oh, I don't want him to fall because he's still my baby's daddy. At least I want to be able to tell her when she grows older, oh, your dad was good at something. Like, you get that sort of thing. And an accident happened as he got on the bull. So he ended up getting flung out by the bull. The bull stepped on his shoulder, his collar. So, and luckily he was wearing a helmet. So look at Winter, jumped into ER doctor mode, bulldozed everybody out of the way, held his head in her lap, and then was now stroking the back of his neck with her finger. So he briefly opened his eyes, because I think she took off the helmet. He looked into her eyes and was like, Tank? He just smiled. And he looked confused, like, what are you doing here? Although he was in pain, and then she went with him in the ambulance to the hospital. And then he was surprised because he was in pain and everything, but he was awake. And then he just kept looking at her like, hey, we're supposed to maybe talk or catch up. Why is she of all persons called to me? That he may not know much, but he knows at least what they had a good time the last time. And that doesn't warrant her being bitter to him, okay? So why is she bitter? He doesn't get why. And this obviously gives us a clue that he doesn't know, but she doesn't know that he doesn't know. Yeah? So what happened in between that time and now? They get to the hospital and they hold a surgery for his shoulder, his collarbone, and now he's recovering. So he's in the hospital room, and he could hear Winter arguing outside with the doctor, like, hey, Dad, have you run a CT scan for his head? And yes, what about his chances of recovery? He needs to get back in the game. Okay, you can't just say physiotherapy. That you have to have an outline plan for him, okay? So the doctor now had to look at her and say, hey, if you're all that concerned, and now he made the statement, the doctor in charge of Theo made the statement in front of Theo, if you're all that concerned about him, why not just come out of your maternity leave and take care of him? Do you understand? And the thing now I feel like, maternity leave? You get, as far she got married and had a kid, and look at me hoping that when I put my act together, I could actually come back to her and maybe would have a chance. Because he felt like the person he was 18 months ago is not the kind of person that should be with a woman of her caliber. And Theo was also feeling really bad for himself, that he's thrown away a chance at championship for an easy ride because he was doing his mentor a favor. He feels like, oh, he should have been more careful. He felt like he wasn't careful. And that, so he's really not feeling good, and also add the winter mix to it. Not a great place to be. A week later, Theo moved into Chestnut Springs. Actually, he's always somebody on the road, so he doesn't have a steady house. And one tiny shoebox apartment he has in the city is too depressing to stay in and recover. So for that reason, Jasper now kind of like, oh, you can stay in this house. And the house just happens to be next door to Winters, okay? And when they were moving in, Theo has this small cute dog, Peter, deaf and dumb. This dog, Peter, is supposedly deaf and dumb. So as he's moving in, the dog is all yappy, and Winter heard it, and she's like, oh my god, why is this dog making a noise? That my baby, she's in her teething stage, it took so long to get her to sleep, and I don't need this dog waking her up. So she goes out in a mood to fight, and then sees that Theo is moving in, and she's like, why is he moving in? I don't want him to move in. And everybody's looking at her like, because Rhett is there, and Rhett's brother Bo, and they're looking at her like, why are you overreacting? It's not like the last time you saw him was at dinner 18 months ago. People didn't get along fine. Get over it. This is not a big deal. The whole thing looked like it was really getting to Winter, and Theo felt there's something more there. So he started approaching. I was like, because he's wearing a sling, right? Because his collarbone is recovering. He just had surgery on it. And he's looking at her and thinking, hey, he actually had to ask her out loud, is everything okay? Is something wrong? Because she looks emotional and totally wound up, like, I can't handle this right now. She's thinking he's moving in next door to hold her deliberately. You get, and this is a guy just genuinely confused. And then she just shouts at him and slams the door. And that slamming the door was a mistake because the whole aim of coming out carefully was to tell them to keep it down because her baby Vivian is sleeping. But then she now slammed the door out of anger as she entered the house. And then her baby now woke up and started crying. And she too just fell to the ground and started crying. Because she's like, what's all this? What's all this? Theo now questioned Rhett about Winter. Hey, who's she with? Oh, nobody. That the child is a result of a one night stand. Like, look at what she said about it. And you, Theo, if you want to help her, mow her lawn or something. See, your help should not involve your dick. Theo is hearing what they're saying about this baby. It's been 18 months. This baby is 9 months. Then he too said, okay, I really need to pull up a calendar and check because something doesn't feel quite right here. Okay? And he's also feeling dread because after Reth, everybody leaves now. He's by himself. And he's feeling dread like, did I have a child? And I was unaware that I have a child? Oh, that would really be really bad. I hope that's not the case. And next thing, it starts raining. But then he pulls up calendar and it's looking like it might be. And it's raining, but instead of taking an umbrella, he just walks, because it's nice. So he just walks around the fence thing and goes to her door and tries to ring it. But remember, she looked too tired earlier and just decides to sit on the stairs. And he's not even wearing his sling. But then, fortunately, the security system alerted Winter that, hey, someone is in front of the house. And she sees his Theo. She wants to leave him there, but she's like, okay, let me just go check what he wants. And she goes there to meet him at the door. He was not like, tell me the truth. Is Vivi mine? Does Vivi belong to me? And then she was like, what kind of funny question is that? That the last time we spoke about this, you told me, thank you for letting you know. And she was like, what kind of funny question is that? The last time we talked about it, you said, thanks for letting me know. And he's like, I said that? And she didn't even have to say much for Winter to realize, oh no, something's terribly wrong here. Because it felt as if Theo broke in front of her very eyes. Like, she literally felt she was witnessing someone's heartbreak. This guy just went back into the rain, looked up to the sky. She looked so confused, walked back to the door, looked like he was having a full-blown attack. She literally had to like hold his neck and say, Bray, tell me 3 things to say, 3 things you care, and all of that. And then next he was like, can I come in? She gave him a towel. And then he saw the baby. And next thing he's running off to the bathroom to throw up. Because he's like, what the hell? What the hell? How did this happen? How was I not aware? Okay? So this is the status quo right now. So that's when Winter just sat on the floor. And then she's thinking, I don't know who sent that text message. But it's not this guy. It's not this broken guy who did that. So, Neighbor, we're done with today's story. I'll see you next time for part 2. When is it coming out? Please comment. Your comments will help me publish one faster. And do you prefer the video podcast or the audio ones? The audio ones are available on this channel. You can find them on podcasts. And please don't forget to like and comment and share. Tell someone about this. Please, that really helps my ministry. Okay, bye.